Hello? Sir, there is no audio.
Hey guys, very good evening. This is Yogen from Forsk Coding School. I hope you can hear me. Please confirm. Okay, now I can, see the responses. Okay, thank you for that. So guys, welcome again to Forsk Coding School, and this is our last day of the program on AI and machine learning with Python. And guys, congratulations to all of you. You have, successfully, come to this last day, and obviously it takes efforts and time and sincerity from your side as well. Then only you can make it to the last day, right? Otherwise, it's difficult to keep continue with such kind of programs. Now, guys. Today, obviously being the last day, but still we have lot many things to learn. You know, last day doesn't mean that we are just going to meet for a formality and we'll do some blah 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 and we'll say bye and thank you, goodbye. No, we have a lot of things to learn today as well, right? And Anant is there. He's saying, "Sir, thank you, sir. I have attended many other ML classes, but the way you teach is really good." Thank you, Anant, for that comment or compliment. Thank you for that. So, guys, today, as I gave you the the idea that last day we will be discussing about our unsupervised machine learning part, and we will also introduce the deep learning part to you, right? And yeah, Savik, thanks. Savik saying, so thank you, sir, for making it very informative and interesting. Ishika Jain saying, sir, your team are very cooperative. Ishika is from Bikaner, I think. So, okay, just let me share the certificate link as well. So, guys, as a ritual activity, every day I need to, share the registration link for the certificate, because a lot many people are still in the process of applying for the certificate. And guys, please mark it that tomorrow evening, right, tomorrow evening is the last, a day where you can register for the certificate. After that, certification form would be closed. You will not be able to, register for the certificate. And guys, those who have registered, right, those who have registered for the certificates, right, we would be issuing the certificates on Tuesday and Wednesday. So Wednesday is the last day where you can make sure that all the certificates will come in your inbox. Sometimes what happens, guys, email comes in the spam folder, right? So please, make sure that you also check the spam folder, because in many of the cases you will find your certificate there. In case you have applied for the certificate and still you did not get it by Wednesday evening, please inform us through an email or a call, right? And we'll revert, we'll check, and we'll issue the certificate for that. Sandeep, yes, you have registered for the certificate, and I think today Surendra was in some other task, so he will, pretty much soon the confirmation. And I think before sending the confirmation, he will send the certificate directly rather than sending the confirmation. I think you registered yesterday evening, and that's why you didn't get it yet. Surendra was on something else today. So Anne Mary John, I have answered your question about the certificate. Please wait, by Tuesday and maximum by Wednesday, and you will get, your certificates, right? Ishika saying, I was new to Python, and after attending your class, now I feel like I know many concepts. Thank you, Ishika. And I think it would be good that you should register for the project season, which is starting next week. And you can work on a project development life cycle, and it would be a very good addition to your resume. So if you're preparing for interviews and placements, right, then it would really help you, because you will build real life project that will make you stand out of the crowd. And experience on the project management part, right? And obviously you will get a training before the start of the project development. So first week is for training, and next 2 weeks are for development, and the last week would be for closure of that project development activities. So Kavya saying, sir, yesterday's assignment was about clusters. We did not get any assignment on classification problem. Yes, Kavya, yesterday's problem was about clusters. So I think today, when we understand what the clustering is, and what the algorithm we are going to use, and solve some real problem, then you will work on that. Yes, I think there is no problem on the classification part. I think that is missing. Probably in the next season we will add that as well. Kavya, thank you for that feedback, Kavya. Prashil saying, thank you, sir. A great session. Hope we'll get more exposure during the project season. Yeah, Prashil, definitely. So Jay Thakkar saying, sir, please send the link for project season. Sylvester, sir, can you please share the, I think I have that. I don't know. I need to check. Yes, I have, guys. This is the link I have. Okay, see this. हिमांशु गौतम saying, sir, मैंने 500 पे कर दिए हैं, सर्टिफिकेट कब मिलेगा? So हिमांशु, सर्टिफिकेट आपको ट्यूसडे या वेडनेसडे तक फाइनली मिल जाएगा. वेडनेसडे would be the last day, right? And if you have paid the 500 rupees, you will get also a resume assessment report as well, right? Pawan MP saying that I did not receive any confirmation yet. I think Pawan, you applied for that yesterday, and today, because of the Saturday, Surendra was in something else, so probably you should get the confirmation by Monday, right? Uh, Thank you for that. Okay, so guys, let's start now. I think we I have answered to the most of the queries as of now. We'll take more queries during the later part of the session. So guys, let's focus on the uh, learning now. As I told you that in unsupervised machine learning, right? In unsupervised machine learning, guys, you have two subcategories. The one is known as clustering, right? And the other part is known as association. And clustering means dividing your data, right? Clustering means dividing your data into multiple or various groups based on features only. So basically, in unsupervised machine learning problems, your data will only have the features and there would be no label, right? It will have no label. And even, let's say, sometimes it happens, even the CSV file, right, that you are dealing with has a label, but because the problem is a clustering problem, you do not count or you do not include that label data, although it may be available in the a CSV file or Excel sheet or database or a table, but you are not looking to that because you're performing clustering, and to perform clustering, you don't need labels, you only need features, right? So, and that's the point. And now, guys, for clustering purpose, I told you three algorithms yesterday. K-means the most popular one. That is the algo we will be discussing soon. The other one is DB scan, right? And the third is hierarchical clustering, right? Hierarchical clustering. So guys, today we are going to have a focus on K-means algorithm, and uh, you know, uh, and then you will also understand how this is working. She's saying, sir, I had applied for the season 13, but not meeting credentials yet. I think you will get it pretty soon, Ashish. Don't worry about that. Probably Monday morning, you should get all those things if you're talking about deep learning session, right? Yeah, thank you. So guys, let's focus on understanding how the K-means is working. And please, everybody focus what you see on my screen and what I say, because, a lot of interesting things will be there in the K-means, right? And you will learn, a hell lot of things there as well. Now, let's first understand, because every time whenever we are using any algorithm, what we are doing, we are trying to understand the basic concept around that algorithm, and then we use that algo in the code. We'll do the same, a process here as well. First, we need to understand how the K-means actually works, right? And how it divides your data into multiple groups. Those groups are clusters, right? We call them, as clusters, and how it is working. So we have to understand that process. So let's see, guys. Before I tell you that how K-means works, right? How K-means works. First, we need to understand a couple of terminologies. So what's that terminology? Let's see, guys. See, uh, guys, you have some data, right? Some data is there. Data is a two-dimensional data. That means when I say two-dimensional data, what does it mean? That you can, have one feature on the x-axis and you can have another feature on the y-axis. That means this data has two columns, right? One column is this and another column is this. And now if we want to scatter this data, right? That means F1 can work as an X coordinate and F2 can work as a Y coordinate. So whatever the values we have in the F1 column, they would be here, and whatever the values in the F2 column are, they would be here on the Y axis, and then we can scatter those points. So let's say this is the scattering of the points, guys. This is scattering. See this and that, right? And let's say, guys, uh, uh, you know, uh, we have one cluster here. So we have a one cluster, and this cluster, has these 4 points. Let's say we have a one more cluster, here, right? Just for example, so I would mark this as a cluster 1, for example, and I will mark this as cluster. So this is the group of 4 data points. This is the group of 3 data points, right? And now, whenever we talk about a cluster, guys, right, there's a term which is called as centroid. I'm talking about a new term. I've introduced a new term. The new term is called centroid. Centroid means, right, the central location, right? Centroid means the central location of cluster. Centroid means central location of the cluster. And how to calculate the central location of the cluster? So maybe this is the center of this cluster, and maybe this is the center of this cluster, guys, right? This is the centroid of this cluster, and this is the centroid of this cluster. How you can calculate the x and y coordinates of this cluster and x and y coordinates of this cluster. So guys, to calculate the x, what you do, so let's say this point is, for example, 1 comma 2, this is, let's say, 2 comma 4, let's say this point is 3 comma anything, it can be 3 comma 5, and let's say this is 3 comma 2, right? So I have just randomly given some xy coordinate to each and every data point in this cluster. So now how we calculate the x coordinate for this centroid? The x coordinate of this centroid would be the average of x coordinates of all the data points which are lying in this cluster. So as of now, in the example, there are 4 data points lying in the cluster 1. So what would be the value of x? That means what would be the x coordinate of our centroid? This is a 1, right? This is 2, x, I'm just adding the x coordinates of every point, and then 3, and then 3. So this is 1, I added this. This is 2, I added this. This is 3, I added this, and divided by 4. That would be the x coordinate. And similarly, what would be the value of y? Again, we are going to add the y coordinates and finding out the average. So this is 2, guys, right? This is 4, this is 5, and this is 2, this one, divided by 4. So these are the x and y coordinates of our centroid. And this is how you mark the central location of a cluster. So guys, is this concept clear to you? Is this concept clear to you that I was talking about? Cluster means a group of the data, and within that cluster, we are introducing a new term that is called as centroid. Centroid means the central location of the cluster. And how to calculate the central location, right? Central location means you need to calculate, right? The central location means you need to calculate the average of x coordinates and average of y coordinates. Average of x coordinates of which points? The points which are lying in this cluster, right? So this is called as centroid. And if you think, guys, the centroid is basically in terms of physics, you can call this as center of mass, right? In terms of physics, guys, what we can call centroid? We can call centroid as a center of mass. Do you remember some, if you have gone through those popular books from H.C. Verma, right? Center of mass and other, a couple of things around that. Yeah. So this is there. So is that clear with everyone? Centroid, cluster, I have defined these 2-3 terms here. Okay, guys, please respond whenever I make a request to you, right? So cluster is group of the data points, right? Cluster means a group. और उस group में क्या होंगे? data points, right? So that, I created a one cluster here just randomly, right? I created a one more cluster here as well, just randomly, just for, explanation purpose. And now let me, bring you the concept behind the k-means, right? Right. So, let me, bring you that how k-means is working. And for that purpose, guys, what I have, done, I have basically, uh, uh, used a web page, and using that web page, I will show you some animation, and basically that animation explains that how the k-means is working, right? So we are going to understand k-means using a animation, a process. So let's see, guys. Here, can you see, guys, on my screen, there are various data points distributed, right? There are various data points distributed. So this can be the x coordinate, so x-axis, and this can be the y-axis. So this is a two-dimensional data distribution. Now, guys, we need to, right, divide this data into various clusters. What I'm telling you, guys, that we need to divide this data into various clusters. And let's say, for explanation purpose, I want to divide this data into three clusters, right? I want to divide the data into three clusters, right? And every cluster is identified through a centroid that we already know now. So, guys, what I do, I add the first centroid, and that location, right? When I add a centroid, that location would be completely random. That is the k-means algorithms working. That initially k-means puts the centroid at random location, right? Initially, k-means puts the centroid at a random location. So, guys, see, I'm putting the first centroid, because as of now, you can see we only have one centroid. And because we only have one centroid, that means entire data is under one cluster only. Okay, now let's add one more centroid. So I added one more centroid. And now can you see, guys, because now we have two centroids, my data has been divided into two clusters. How it has been divided, how this boundary has been drawn, that this is the cluster, red zone, and this is the cluster blue zone, right? So basically what is happening, guys, drawing the decision boundary is very, very, simple. See how it is being there, guys. What we do, we connect these two centroids through a straight line, and then we cut that straight line, right? Or we bisect that straight line at 90 degrees. So, guys, can you see? Basically, this is the line which is cutting the straight line connecting these two centroids, right? And bisecting it. Do you remember, guys, those geometry fundamentals, bisection and all? If you remember, uh, that these are the 2 points, right? These are the 2 points, P1 and P2, P1 and P2, and this is the straight line connecting them. I'm sorry, not a straight line. So very close to a straight line now, and now we bisect it. So this will be a 90-degree angle, right? So now, that's there. And what I told you guys, the initial placement of, right? So, Madhu, what I'm saying, you need to draw kind of a straight line and just bisect it. Bisect means dividing the straight line into two equal parts, half in the red zone and half in the blue zone. Bisection means dividing equally into two parts, right? So that is there. And guys, mind it, the placement of the centroids is completely random. So let me restart again, right? Then you will understand that part. So I'm just restarting again. So these are my data points, guys, right? Let me, uh, you know, uh, add the first centroid. So I'm again starting it, right? I'm again starting it. So this is there, right? Now I'm going to add one more centroid. So can you see, guys? This time it is completely, a different location of the centroid, because in the beginning, K-means is putting the centroids as a random location, and generally there can be two ways to randomly put a centroid. That first centroid can be placed anywhere, right? The first centroid can be placed anywhere. Now question comes where we need to put the second, centroid or next centroid. So generally there can be two approaches. Either you put the next centroid far away from the existing centroid, the first centroid that has been already added, or maybe you put that centroid close to the first one, right? So this is the way. Let me restart again, guys. I'm just starting again just to put you the things in a very clarity. This is adding of the first centroid. Again, you can see, guys, right? This is the random placement of the centroid. Then I'm adding a one more centroid. So I added a one more centroid. And guys, can you see this? Again, we have drawn this line, which is the bisection, right? This is exactly bisecting the line. Okay, but we were supposed to add three centroids, right? So let me add a one more centroid as well, right? So one more centroid as well. Can you see? I was supposed to be, right? I was supposed to be add three centroids, and I have added three centroids. And mind it, guys, the location of these centroids is completely random when they start. Now, guys, think what has been, a process here. Again, can you see, guys, this line is the bisection between this red centroid and blue centroid. This line is the bisection between green centroid and blue centroid, and this line is the bisection between red and green centroid. So these are the, and now you can see this is my red cluster, this is my blue cluster, and this is my green cluster. Now, guys, I have a question for you, and you need to think around that. Guys, do you think that this is, guys, do you think that this is, really the actual location of the centroid given, the distribution of the points like this in the red zone? Do you think this is the right location of the centroid? No, this is not the right location of the centroid. Why? Because anyway, we put this centroid randomly in the beginning, right? And now we need to calculate the actual location of the centroid. How we can calculate the actual location of the centroid? For red zone, we just need to look at these points which are part of the red cluster and calculate the average x and average y. So it would be somewhere here, right? Similarly, we need to calculate the actual centroid location for blue zone as well, or blue cluster as well, right? How we can do that? We will calculate the average x and average y for these data points, and similarly for the green cluster as well. So guys, what we do now, once we know the actual location of the centroid, because now the boundaries are there, now we know which point belongs to which cluster, so we can easily figure out what is the average x and average y corresponding to each cluster. So हम हर cluster का actual location निकाल सकते हैं. And now K-means does what? Now it will move these clusters to the actual location, guys. Now it will move these clusters to the actual location. So let's move, or let's update these centroids, right? So now we are moving to their right location. So let's see, guys. And now what happens? When I moved these centroids, what happened? My boundaries also got changed, right? Because boundary would always be the bisection between the centroid, right? So now can you see, guys, earlier these these blue dots which are shown right now in the red zone were part of the blue zone actually, but now they have come under which zone? They have come under the red cluster. And similarly you can see, guys, right, couple of points which were earlier into the red cluster, now they have become part of the green, and and this is happening here as well, right? Couple of points which were earlier part of the blue cluster, now they have become part of the green cluster, right? So this is the case. Now guys, what happened, because now the boundary got changed again, this is not the right location of the centroid again, because अब कुछ पॉइंट्स इधर उधर हो गए हैं, सो क्या हो गया है, फिर से there is a change in the correct location of the centroid, right? Because now there are new points added, or some points got away from the cluster, so obviously average x and average y has been changed. That means this is not again the right location of the centroid for this new cluster boundaries, right? So again we have to, right? Again we have to update the centroid. So now guys, we again make the calculation and find out what is the new centroid location. So we'll move these centroids to the new location now. So we keep on moving. And now this goes in the cyclical loop. Now this goes in the loop. What happens? We update the, we update the centroid, right? And then change the boundaries, and then reassign the points, and then update the centroid, and then reassign the points, then update the centroid, then reassign the points. This goes on, this goes on, this goes on, right? And this go to a condition, right? ये जब तक चलता रहेगा, it will go till we have any movement in the centroid, right? ये जब तक चलता रहेगा जब तक हमारा centroid move करता रहेगा. Once there is no movement of the centroid, that means you have finally come to the right location. That means you have come to the right location, right? That means if there is no delta x, right? If there is no delta x change in the location of the centroid, now we can safely say that this is the final clustering of the data. अब हमारी clustering final हुई है. अभी तक we were just in the process of finding out the clusters, right guys? So what is the process in the K-means? We start putting the centroid at random location. Once the random location is there, we draw the boundaries, we calculate the right location of the centroid, we update the centroid location, we then change the boundaries, then we update again, then we change the boundaries, then update again, and this goes on until there is any movement in the location of the centroid. जब centroid move करना बंद कर दे, that is called as the final clustering, and that is the final output of the K-means algorithm. Right? This is the case, guys. This is how a K-means works in making the clusters out of the data. Guys, did you get it? Did you get it? Let me share this web link, so maybe you can use at your end as well, right? This is how. Okay, let me do one more example. Final example, right? Let me do one more final example. Let's say I have a data distribution like this, right? I have a data distribution like this. And now I want to have two clusters, right? So what I will do, I will put randomly two clusters, right? So first random placement, the second random placement, right? And then what we are going to do, we are going to update the centroids. So we need to update the centroids, right? And then after update, there is a change in the boundary, right? After change in the boundary, we again need to update the centroid. So update, right? Reassign. Update, reassign. Update, reassign. Update, reassign. Update, reassign. This is going on. Abhi bhi movement ho raha hai. That means algo is not closed yet, right? It's still working. It's still working. It's still working. Working. So let's see how it goes, right? So it's still going there. There is a change in the boundary. There is a change. There is a change. Okay, finally we are there, right? So guys, this is the way. This is the final clustering of the data, right? So is that clear now, guys? Is that clear that how the K-means is working? Not very difficult to understand, right? In terms of like so basically what happens right? What is happening if you see in terms of a kind of a Python code for this kind of algorithm is like while, right, while delta x is not equal to 0, right? While delta x is not equal to 0, what we are doing? What we are doing, guys? Update centroid, right? And reassign points. Reassign points means redraw the boundaries, right? Redraw the boundary. So these are the two steps. So ये जब तक चलता रहेगा जब तक there is a delta x, there is a movement, and as soon as delta x becomes 0, we are out of this loop because this condition will become false, and we are here and we get the final result. Now, guys, let's see the practical example, right? Right. So no issue, it is not required. It may be different, right? It's not a condition. Now, guys, see, right? Uh, it may be different, Patrick, because you know how you start from a random location, your output may be a little different, right? It may be different. It's not necessary that always you have the same kind of, you know, clustering, because you know random placement plays a very important role in that. Now, guys, listen, I have a data for you, and see this file. See this. Uh, this is a CSV file, right? And in this CSV file, guys, for understanding purpose, what I have done, I have taken collection of data points, right? I have taken collection of data points, and every data point is two-dimensional. That means every data point has x coordinate, right, and y coordinate. Can you see, guys? For first data point, this is the x coordinate and this is the y coordinate. For the next data point, this is the x coordinate and this is the y coordinate. For next data point, this is x coordinate and this is the y coordinate, right? So yeah, Hema, you are right. That's it, right? So you know, and you need to just continue that, and it will create the final boundaries for you. It will create the final cluster for you. So, guys, what I was talking about, this is the data we have. In this data, we have collected around 3,000 points, coordinates, right? And every coordinate has, you know, x-axis and y. So x coordinate is there and y coordinate is there, right? So only two columns are there. So, guys, in this data, I will mark this as feature 1 and I will mark this column as feature 2. So column V1 is feature 1 and column V2 is feature 2, right? So, guys, what do you think? Can we, you know, scatter these points and see how they are distributed on the matplotlib graph? Can we see, guys? Can we draw, you know, all, you know, these points using a plt.scatter method? क्या बोलते हो, कर सकते हैं? Can we do that? Please respond. Can we do plt.scatter? Yes, we can do plt.scatter. Right? And how to do that? First, we need to have the data, right? पहले pandas से data read तो कर लें. So what we can do, guys, in that case, if you remember, what was the first activity I told you? That you need to, you know, import the libraries, right? And call the pandas function read CSV. So I'm just copying it from the day 4 so that, you know, it becomes a little fast for us. And now, guys, this is we have. So these are the 3 libraries that would be required anyway for us. And now, guys, this is data set. And what is the CSV file name in this case, guys? For today, our CSV file name is xclara, right? So this is xclara.csv. So let's read this data set now. So, guys, we have loaded our data frame now, right? Because now you know that data set is a data frame, right? So see this. This is our data frame. And now, guys, we check three things around the data frame. What are those? Data set dot d types. One is this, which will tell us what are the various data types of column. So v1 column is float and v2 column is a float again. And see, guys, what is the other thing? Data set dot endin, or maybe shape first. So we have shape. It is saying, guys, it has in total 3,000 records and two columns. So it's obviously a two-dimensional data, right? So data set dot endin. So it's a two-dimensional data. And if it's a two-dimensional data, we can easily plot it. So guys, how we can do that? So we can do it in such a way. Can you see, guys? I need to have, if I need to have only x coordinates, how to do that, guys? If I need to have only the x coordinate or the first column data, for that purpose, I can do data set, and then in the square bracket, what I can do, guys? I can do v1, right? I can do v1 and then saying dot values. Maybe I can use iloc method as well. मैं iloc भी use कर सकता हूँ, but this will also work for me. Can you see, guys? You got it, right? And similarly, to calculate or to check the values in the second column, क्या करेंगे उसके लिए? We will have data set, and then what should I write inside, guys? v2, because that column name is v2, and then we have values, right? So I can use iloc as well, and I can use this concept as well. And now, guys, what we are going to do, we are going to okay, let me do the iloc part as well. मैं iloc से भी इसको कर सकते हैं. We can do with the iloc as well. But I'll come to that part. So now, guys, plt dot scatter, and now what I can pass on, guys, right? I can directly use them as of now. I can just put them as a set of x values and set of y values. Is that right, guys? Is that okay with you? Can we do that like this? So let's see if it is working for us. And then can you see, guys? Yeah. Can you see? Okay. As such, as of now, guys, abhi tak, so far we have not applied k-means algorithm on this data. अभी तक k-means तो लगाया थोड़ी है. But visually, maybe you can have a look and visually see that how many clusters ideally we should have out of this data. If you look at the visual, guys, अगर आप इसके scatter plot को देखो, it can gives us a good idea that this data should have 3 clusters, and that would be the ideal number. Or that would be the kind of a best number. Maybe you can divide the entire data set in 1 cluster only, or 2 cluster only, or 4 clusters only. But 3 clusters, seems to be very reasonable by looking at the data distribution, because this can be very well the 1 cluster, this can be the another cluster, but this can be the third cluster. That I have seen, by drawing it, by scattering the points. But what will happen if I want to apply k-means algorithm and ask k-mean algorithm to cluster my data or to find the clusters out of my data? So now, guys, I need to use k-means algorithm, right? That will help us to really find out that how many clusters, are there, right? So, that is there. So Shivapuram Selva Kumar Singh said, what is the criteria for grouping points into clusters? We'll discuss that part during in the k-means discussion, Silva. I'll answer that part as well, right? I'll answer that part. Don't worry, I will answer that. Now, guys, as a next step, what we are going to do, maybe we can do one thing. I told you this method as well, right? We can use another method as well, because in this data, both of the columns are features. So how we can calculate the features, guys? So guys, please stick to the example, and once I finish this discussion, you will get everything very clear in your mind, right? So guys, I'm going to store features. I have used this concept that was perfectly fine for me. right? But now I'm going to have a features variable, and there I will say data set, and then now I will use iloc method. And now, guys, before comma, I need to specify the row selection, so I need every row. And now, after the comma, I need to specify the column indexes. So let's say I have only two columns, so 0 and 1. Guys, I'm not specifying the range here, because if I specify the range here, it would be like starting from 0 and then 2 here, right? Because it will consider 0 and 1 only, 2 is excluded. So I can write this way, or either I can write this way as well, right? Either I can write. So both ways are, are same. So can you see, guys? We have got the features, but we have to apply the values part as well. Otherwise, we will get the index locations as well, right? So this is features, guys. And can we print the features? Yes, we can print the features. See this? We got the features, right? So, guys, because we are now under clustering, and under clustering, guys, this is unsupervised machine learning. So everything is features for us in this data. There is no label, right? Guys, why I'm putting 0 and 1 here? Can someone explain me? Can someone, respond that why I have put 0 and 1 here? Because you can clearly see in the data frame, there are two columns only, right? The index of this column is, index column is 0 and this column is 1. And that's why to, access the data from these two columns, I have specified column 0 and column 1, right? So this way I got the features in my data. There is no label in this, there is no label. So everything is features. So these are the features. Now, guys, if this is the feature for me, please now let's think around this. A couple of things would be interesting to you. Yeah, Hemant, you are right. So see, guys, this is features, and now this features is ND array, right? The type of the features is ND array. Can you see? This is our ND array. ND array. Now, guys, out of this ND array, if I'm only interested in getting the first column data, that means set of x coordinates. So how I can write that, guys? I can do this, and I can do column here, and this is 0. Guys, because features is an ND array, right? I'm not using iloc method, because iloc method works for data frame. Here, if it is an ND array, I can directly specify the row selection and column selection, and this way it will give me the values for x coordinate only, right? And similarly, to get the y set of values, guys, features, and then column, and then this time I'm going to use 1. So this will take up the y values, right? And guys, now I can use plt dot scatter again, and use these, right? So use this as x set of values, and use this for y set of values, and again we will get the same plot what we did here, right? What we did here, we are going to get the same plot here. No change into that, because just methods are different, but the output has to be same. So guys, is this concept clear, everyone? Please share your feedback. Is that clear with everyone? Okay. Aparajita saying yeah. Good, guys. Now let me import my algorithm Kmeans. So how to do that, guys? From sklearn dot cluster. So this time I'm importing it from cluster module. What to import? Kmeans. So Kmeans, guys, Kmeans. So this is how we import Kmeans. So I have imported Kmeans, guys. Okay. Now, after importing Kmeans class, right? After importing Kmeans class, what should be my next step, guys? How I can use that class? How I can use that class? I can create what? object, right? So how to create an object? First, I need to have the name of my class, Kmeans. And now while creating the object, guys, I need to tell, guys, listen, while creating the object, I need to tell how many clusters I want to make out of data, right, guys? How many clusters I want to make. So let's say I want to make 3 clusters out of data, and I will answer this question later on, that why you are creating 3 clusters only, why you have not created 2 or 5 or 4, right? Why you have creating 3 clusters only, I will answer that later on. But as of now, just assume that we have to create 3 clusters. So how to specify that part, guys? And clusters is equal to 3. This is the way, guys, right? So visually we know that data will have 3 clusters, right? But what happens if we are not able to see the data visually? Let's say this data was supposed to be in 4 dimension. Then, guys, can we use a scatter method? No, we cannot use a scatter method, because PLT will not draw that data in 4 dimensions, right? Because it was a 2D data, so it was easy for us to draw it using a scatter, right? And that's why you got direct idea that it will create 3 clusters. But what happens if you have a data set which has 4 columns? In that case, your plt.scatter will not work for you. So visually you don't know how many clusters it will make, right? So you need to find out other way, that how to identify that what should be the right number of clusters. I will discuss that later on, guys, that how to identify that what should be the right number of clusters. As of now, I'm just saying that please assume we are going to create 3 clusters, and that's why I have specified n clusters is equal to 3, right? And guys, let me assign this object to some reference, and let's say that reference is Kmeans. Kmeans. Guys, mind it, this K is lowercase and this K is uppercase, right? This is class and this is object, right? So this way, guys, I'm going to create the object. See, okay, my object is created. Now, guys, what I have to do? The data is into features, right? मेरा data कहाँ पड़ा हुआ है? Features में. मेरा object कहाँ पे है? K-means में, right? Now it will create clusters only if I pass on the data to it, right? Data is not yet given to it. We have to give the data. We have to fit the data, right? So let me fit the data first, guys. So how to fit the data? Using object name, that is K-means. Then I have to call a method called fit predict. Guys, mind it, this is a different method. So far we have been using fit method only, right? But now I'm calling fit and then predict. So basically it's a 2-step. First, it will fit the data and then it will predict. What it will predict, let me tell you. Just hold on. So what I need to pass on, guys, I just need to pass on the features, because I have no labels. It's an unsupervised machine learning, guys. It's a K-means algorithm. It's a clustering, right? In the earlier examples, what we used to do while fitting the data, what we were supposed to do, guys, features and labels, right? और कल क्या पास किया था? Feature strain or label strain दिया था कल. Yesterday we gave feature strain and label strain, right? Because of the train test split concept. So guys, here I'm just passing features only, because anyway I don't have the label, right? So that's there. And now, guys, what it returns me, क्या output ये मुझे देता है, I'm going to store that in some variable. Let's say that variable name is prad cluster. That variable name is prad cluster, and you need to tell me that data you need to understand, guys, that what data we get here in this variable, you need to understand it, guys. So what we did, we had this object, we call the fit underscore predict, and then we pass the data, and let's see, guys, what the response is coming. So we have got a response in the prad cluster. Okay, see, and let's see, guys, what is in the prad cluster. See, here we have, in total there are 3,000 entries. Can you see, guys, that there are 3,000 entries under the prad cluster? And now, guys, can you see what we are getting? 2, okay, then somewhere 0, okay, then 2, lot of 2s there, okay, in the beginning. Then, guys, a lot of, see, still we have, okay, lot of zeros. Can you see, guys, lot of zeros? And then a lot of ones. So guys, there are only 3 unique values in this grad underscore cluster variable, right? What do you think, guys? What does it represent? Guys, what are these values? What do you think? What is that? What the 0, 1, or 2? Only 3 values are there in this data, right? Basically, guys, this is telling us, guys, this is telling us that 3 clusters are created, and now it is telling you that which point belongs to which cluster, right? It is saying that your first data point belongs to cluster number 2, your second data point belongs to cluster 2, and so on. And that's why it is showing all the 3000 data entries here that corresponding to each entry. So basically what is there, guys? Now you can a little bit here. I just need to write here features. See, okay, features are okay. So I should have one thing here. Let me have features as well, and let me have a Pratt cluster here, and now I will have both. Okay, see this now. Just a minute, hold on. I just need to have, see this, guys. These are my data points, right? Features and the array. Can you see X coordinate and Y coordinate? So these are the 3000 entries. And now, guys, Kmeans has given me this output, right? While calling that fit underscore predict. Now you can easily see what does it mean. I will tell you. Just hold on. It is saying that this data point, whose coordinates are this, it belongs to 2, cluster 2. This data point belongs to cluster 2, and so on. And this one, which is at line number 29, that means this cluster, right, whose coordinates are this, 224.29 and 40, it belongs to cluster 0, right? So this is the mapping, guys. Here on the left hand side I have the data, on the right hand side I'm just telling you that which a cluster ID has been assigned to it. क्या data कौन से cluster में गया है, इसी की बात वहां पे हो रही है. So guys, is that clear that what information we have got? Guys, is that clear? Right? Yeah. Now interesting things start happening here. I know, guys, right? I know that all the data points are under features, right? All the data, data points are under feature. And guys, as of now, you know that total points in the features is 3000. We already know about this. Now, out of these total data points, I want to know that, which data points are part of cluster 1, which data points are part of cluster 0, right? And which data points are part of cluster 2. मुझे अब ये पता करना है कि cluster 0 में कितने data point गए, cluster 1 में कितने data गए, और cluster 2 में कितने data points गए. So how to do that, guys? That is very simple. First, guys, I need to have data which is in features, and now I need to apply kind of a filter that out of this features, I only need those points, right? I only need those points which belong to cluster 0. That is the equation I have to write, guys. See this, बड़ा important है ये. मुझे features में से सिर्फ वो points चाहिए जिनका Pratt cluster की value क्या है, 0 है, right? This is, so that's there. Yeah, इसी का it may be different because it's a random start, na? So output, final output may be a little different as well. See this, guys, features and then Pratt underscore cluster. So now it will give me only those points, guys, which are belonging to cluster 0. See this. And now see, if I want to, know, see, I want to know how many points these are. So I just need to call alien call करके देख लेता हूँ कि how many points are there. So it says that out of 3000, only 1149 points are part of the cluster 0. How to check for the cluster 1, guys? I just need to check this part. And what I need to make change? I just need to say, Okay, now I'm looking for cluster 1 data points. So this is the filter for them. So 952 points in that part, right? And similarly, how many cluster points? So 899. So guys, is this concept clear? That I have put a filter. I don't need all data points. I only need those data points which are satisfying this condition, right? This is the way I have got these, so that is there. So guys, this alien returns total number of points which belong to cluster 0, total number of points which belong to cluster 1, total number of data points which belong to cluster 2. Is that clear, guys? Please confirm me. Okay. Now guys, just a minute, hold on. एक और चीज देख लेते हैं. See this, guys. Right? Yes, Nandikonda Visal, you are right. Now see this, guys. When I'm doing this filter that I need the data points which belong to cluster 0, it gives me the x coordinate of those points as well as the y coordinate of those points. See the output, guys. Can you see? X coordinate is here, y coordinate is here. X coordinate is here, y coordinate here. If I'm only interested in the x coordinate, what I need to do? After the comma, I need to specify the index. So if I specify 0, it will only give me the x coordinate values. See, can you see? 24 is here, 24 is here, then 37, then 37 is here, then 48, and the 48 is here. So only getting the x coordinate. Similarly, if I want the y set of coordinates only, how I will do that, guys? I will just make it 0 to 1. In this case, it will give me the, can you see? This is the y coordinate. Here we get the y coordinate. This is the y coordinate of the second point. This is the y coordinate of the second point. So this is the way. Now, why I'm doing it? Because I just want to draw my clusters in different color. So now I do one thing, guys. I will use plt.scatter, right? And in this method, I will give the data about those points which belong to cluster 0. और उनका भी सिर्फ x coordinate चाहिए, तो मैं वो यहाँ दे दूंगा. So this is how I give x coordinate of those points which belong to cluster 0. After the comma, I will pass on the y coordinate of those points which belong to cluster 0. So this is how, okay. And let's say, guys, I want to plot them in, let's say, a blue color. So let's say I will see that color should be blue. So C is equal to, C stands for like color. I will, let's say, okay, that has to be in blue. So मैंने blue color भी दे दिया. Let me give a label to it as well, guys. So let's say I give a label. That label should be is equal to, I will mark as cluster 1, right? So I will mark as cluster 1, right? So this is how, this will give me only those points. It will scatter only those points which are belonging to cluster 0. Now, what about other clusters? I can mark them. So I will make here, यार मुझे सिर्फ वो पॉइंट चाहिए जो क्लस्टर 1 से बिलोंग करते हो, लेकिन उसका x कोऑर्डिनेट तो 0 से मिलेगा, right? And then the y coordinate belonging to cluster 1, and let's say I want to show them in on different colors. So let's say this is red color, guys, right? And the label has to be cluster 2. Similarly, what will happen, guys? Can someone give me that what should I change here? What value I should have here instead of the 0? If I'm only interested in getting the cluster data points, belonging to cluster 2 only, मुझे 2 करना पड़ेगा यहाँ पे. That's it, right? और इधर भी क्या करना पड़ेगा? Here as well I have to make 2, right? And let's say this time I want to print them in a different color. So that's, let's say this is green color, right? And that has to be labeled cluster 3. So here it is. So guys, अब देखते हैं जरा if things are fine with us or not. So I'm just, okay, see this guys. Can you see? As per my code, which one, this is cluster 1, look, right? This is cluster 1 जिसका ID 0 है. This is cluster 3 जिसका ID 2 है. And this is cluster 1 this is cluster 2 जिसका ID 1. So ये ID 0, ये ID 1 और ये ID 2. So that's there. Yeah, Sonic, happy Independence Day. So this is there guys. Okay, what about the centroids? इनके centroid कहाँ गए? वो भी तो चाहिए अभी हमें, right? So for that purpose guys, I can use object Kmeans, then dot cluster centers, right? This is the parameter I can use to find out the cluster locations. See this guys, I will get 3 clusters. Can you see? It gave me 3 clusters. This one is there, this one is there, and this one is there. So if I want to print them, let's say in yellow color, right? कैसे करें? If I want their x coordinate only, तो कैसे करना पड़ेगा? Colon and then comma 0. It will give me the x coordinate only. See this? How to get the y coordinate? So I just need to make it 1 here. So guys, अब मुझे क्या method call करना चाहिए? I should call this plt dot scatter. क्या pass करूं? I should pass on this here, so it will work as a set of x coordinates for me. Similarly, passing this as a set of y coordinates here. So I just need to pass on the y coordinates here, guys. Okay, what about the other stuff like color and all? Let's say we want to make it in a yellow color, guys. So we make it yellow, and let's say label them as centroids. So let's label them as centroids. So this is how we complete it in terms of, see this guys, and here we are. So it's the centroid of this cluster, centroid of this cluster, and centroid of this cluster. So this is how things are here, right? Now guys, now someone is saying sir why label names are not printed. क्या करें उसके लिए? अच्छा से कर देते हैं इसको, थोड़ा सा सही कर देते हैं. क्या करें इसके लिए? Let's say plt dot title. Okay, I can say cluster data points, right? For example, let's say. Okay, then what about we can say a plt dot x label. So x coordinates, right? X coordinates. I can say plt dot y label. I will say y coordinates. And what about plt dot legend? Legend दिखाना है ना. And finally plt dot show. सब कुछ एक साथ दिखाना है. यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक चलो. Complete it. I think we should be able to get the all details now. Can you see guys? Blue cluster 1, green cluster 2, cluster 3, red cluster 2, and yellow centroids. Now labels are printed well. Is that okay guys now? तो इस तरीके से हमने यहाँ पर legend का मतलब होता है कि labels को दिखाना, labels को दिखाना कि green का क्या मतलब है ना, color codes का क्या मतलब है और जो हमने यहाँ पे किया. Legends मतलब उस एक तरह से color mapping को या color code को indicate करना, what does it mean? Those are called a legend. Have you seen in your atlas map that this should be marked as road, this should be marked as road, or this should be marked as railway line, or this should be marked as this. A lot of things happen. So those are legends there in the map, right? This is there. Now, guys, there is a final question. So this is how you can use K-means algorithm, guys, right, to cluster the data. But we have to answer one question as of now. What was that question? How you come to know that, right, what should be the right number of clusters? तुमने कैसे डिसाइड किया कि यहाँ पे 3 ही क्लस्टर बनेंगे? How did you come to know this answer? कैसे पता किया? And for that purpose, now let's understand a method that will help us in identifying the right number of clusters in your data. See this, guys, what is happening. For understanding that concept, guys, we need to have one more term from the K-means. That term is known as WCSS. Within cluster, mind it, guys, very important. Within cluster, sum of squares. Within cluster, sum of squares. What is the meaning of that? Right? So, Shubham, I'll introduce. I'll just introduce, and next week we have a complete, a course on deep learning. Don't worry, right? See this. Ashutosh will look into that code. I think better to post that code to email me. Just email me. I'll just look into that. forsklabs@gmail.com. Please, send that part, Ashutosh. Maybe I'll just share the code with you, and then you can compare it, right? Yeah. So, guys, I have a new terminology that is known as WCSS, within cluster sum of squares. What does it mean? Hold on. Let's say I have 3 clusters in my data. This is the 1, this is 2, and this is 3. This is the centroid of this. This is the centroid of this cluster, and this is the centroid of this cluster. Okay. 4 data points are here in this cluster, 2 data points in this cluster, 3 data points in this cluster, just randomly, right? And now, guys, we can calculate this distance. Let's say this distance is D1, this is D2, and this is D3, and this is D4. So, guys, WCSS for this cluster, let's say this cluster is 1, this is cluster 2, and this is cluster 3. So, WCSS for cluster 1 would be equal to D1 square, D2 square, D3 square, and D4 square. Right? Distance के squares का sum, that is known as within cluster sum of squares. So you can see WCSS for cluster 1. Similarly, WCSS for cluster 2 would be counted as, let's say this distance is D1, this is D2. So D1 square plus D2 square. And similarly, what about this WCSS for cluster 3, guys? This would be counted as, let's say this is D1, this is D2, and D3, right? So D1 square, D2 square, and D3 square. So this is, and what would be the final WCSS of entire data, guys? The final WCSS would be summation of all, individual WCSS. So WCSS for cluster 1 added with the WCSS S2 of cluster 2 and WCSS of cluster 3. Right? This is the way. Guys, is this concept clear? WCSS. This is going to play a very important role in our discussion today. WCSS. Within cluster sum of squares. I think that is simple to understand. Right? Rishi, sirf hum, what we are doing, that in every cluster we have a centroid. So this is the centroid of this cluster, this is the centroid of this cluster, this is the centroid of this cluster. We are just, what we are just doing, we are calculating the distance of each data point within that cluster from the centroid. सेंट्रॉइड से हर पॉइंट की क्या दूरी है उसी का स्क्वायर करके सम किया है, उसी को हम WCSS कहते हैं. ऋषिकरण, इज दैट क्लियर नाउ? राइट सौनक? WCSS मतलब क्लस्टर के अंदर जितने भी डेटा पॉइंट्स हैं उनकी सेंट्रॉइड्स के से क्या दूरी है उसी का स्क्वायर निकाल के सम करना, दैट इज नोन एज WCSS. Now guys, yeah, Virendra will do that, right? I'll introduce deep learning in the last, and we have a 1 week long program on Monday, right, on deep learning, so you can join that as well. Now guys, let's focus on this first. Now I have a question for you guys. That is very important question. See, guys, tell me one thing, that let's say I have again a data, 3 clusters are there, right? 3 clusters are there. So this is the centroid, this is the centroid, and so obviously we have some WCSS, right? We can calculate that. Guys, tell me, with the same data, guys, in this case when I'm creating 3 clusters, I have got some WCSS. Now guys, with the same data, let's say this time I create 5 clusters, right? So this one is the centroid, this one is the centroid, this one is the centroid. So data is same, data is same here, guys, same data, right? Earlier I created 3 clusters only and calculate the WCSS. Now I have created 5 clusters with the same data and now calculate the WCSS as well, right? So let's say I will mark this WCSS 3 and I will mark this as WCSS 5. Guys, what is your response? Will WCSS increase from this to this, or will the WCSS will decrease? ये वाली WCSS जो अभी नई हम कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं for 5 clusters, what is your take, guys? Will it decrease or will it increase? क्या बोलते हो? So some people, Karishma Yadav saying sir decrease, Devendra saying decrease, Hatvi saying sir I think decrease. Updesh, Updesh is back after a long time. So Shoran keh raha decrease hai. Okay, fine, So guys, let me, Tanya keh rahi hai decrease hoga, Ishika. Okay, guys. मैं वापस से चीज समझाता हूं और फिर से बताना कि डिक्रीज होगा या इंक्रीज होगा, राइट? गाइस लिसन, देयर इज अ सिटी, राइट, and people are living, so this is the density distribution, so people are living like this, people are living like this, people are living like this, right? And the government or a private bank has set up 3 ATMs here. So one ATM is here, another ATM is here, another ATM is here. So basically this ATM is working as a centroid for this a population. This ATM is serving this population, this ATM is serving this population, and ATM is located at centroid. You can think like that. And now guys, what happens after 6 months or 4 months, right? Banks deploys 2 more ATMs. So this was A1, this is A2, this is A3 original ATMs. Now A4 ATM is also there, A5 ATMs is also there. Now guys, tell me guys, on an average, पहले लोग जितना travel करते थे to reach out to ATM to dispense money, right? Average, because WCSS average distance travel ही तो बताएगा. Now guys, tell me, ज्यादा ATM लगने से लोगों को कम travel करना पड़ेगा या ज्यादा travel करना पड़ेगा? With more ATMs in place, people will travel more or will travel less? What do you say, guys? Now people travel less. That means if they travel least, इसका मतलब WCSS कम होगा या ज्यादा होगा? WCSS will decrease or increase? Increase नहीं होगा जे, अब तो decrease हो रहा है ना, क्योंकि WCSS क्या है? वो ATMs की लोकेशन ही तो सेंट्रॉइड की लोकेशन है. इसका मतलब पहले 3 क्लस्टर से now we have, right? Now we have 5 clusters. That means अब क्या हो गया है? There are so many clusters now, right? Right? Yeah, number of centroids have increased. but WCSS तो कम हो गया ना. Number of ATMs have decreased, but the WCSS कम हुआ है. Number of clusters तो बढ़ गए. यहाँ पे 5 थे ना पहले 3 थे, अब 5 हो गए, right? So this is WCSS is what? The distance traveled, d1 square, d2 square, d3 square, d4 square, d5 square, इनका सबका sum, that is WCSS, right? That is there. So that means with the increase of, क्योंकि अब तो ऐसा हो गया सिटी में, राइट, इतने एटीएम्स हो गए, चाहे मैं इधर जाऊं चाहे इधर जाऊं, दोनों जगह सेम ही ट्रैवल करना. 200 मीटर इधर चलता हूं तो एटीएम मिल जाता है, 200 मीटर इधर चलता हूं तो भी एटीएम मिल जाता है. तो इसका मतलब there is a saturation now, right? We have so many ATMs now, we have so many centroids, so many clusters, that now WCSS has been saturated. That means what should be the pattern, guys? What should be the pattern? Let's say we want to plot a pattern that what is the WCSS, only one cluster is there. Guys, I'm saying only one cluster is there, WCSS would be highest, right? If 2 clusters are there, guys, WCSS would be a little lower than earlier one, right? If 3 clusters are there, फिर थोड़ा सा कम होगा, right? 4 clusters are there, 5 there, 6 there, 7 there. लगभग कुछ ऐसा ग्राफ आता है इसका. This goes like that, right? This goes like that. That after a certain number of clusters, right? There is no change in the WCSS. That should be the case. Can we draw this same graph in our case as well, guys? Yes, we can draw the same graph in our case as well. And let's draw that graph. उसको draw कर लेते हैं. कैसे? एक काम करते हैं. Saturation point स्वागतम means there is no further increase or decrease in the WCSS. That is there. Saturation is, right? So guys, एक काम करते हैं. Let me do one thing. I will calculate WCSS for every a cluster count. So I will calculate WCSS when the cluster is just 1. I will calculate the WCSS when the clusters are 2 or 3 or 4. For that purpose, what I do, guys, I take a list which is empty in the beginning. ये खाली है. इस लिस्ट के अंदर मैं अपेंड करता जाऊंगा जो भी WCSS निकालूंगा, राइट? एक काम करते हैं, इसका WCSS नहीं रखते हैं, इसका नाम कुछ लिस्ट रख लेते हैं, राइट? सो WCSS length, let me check this. WCSS length, okay, that should be the list name. Yeah, so it will hold the WCSS. Now guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to run a for loop that will help me in defining that how many clusters I need. So guys, I'm going to write for each I in range 1 to 11, let's say. इसका मतलब ये लूप कहाँ से कहाँ तक चलेगा? ये लूप चलेगा 1 से लेकर के 10 तक. I की वैल्यू शुरुआत में 1 होगी, फिर 2, फिर 3, फिर 4, 5 and so, and it goes up to 10. And now guys, what I'm doing, I'm going to create a object of Kmeans again, Kmeans again. So I'm just going to create an object of the Kmeans. This time, guys, what is happening? I'm passing. Let me write the code first, guys, and then you will understand what I'm doing here. Can you see, guys, what I have done? I will run the loop for the first time. Then the value of I would be 1, and the value of I is 1. That means it will create just one cluster, right? And the next loop, guys, in the next iteration, I would be 2. Then it will create 2 clusters. And the next iteration, I would be 3. Then it will create the 3 clusters like that, right? And let's say we have the Kmeans object here, right? And now, guys, to calculate the WCSS, I need to give the data. Then only, it can calculate the WCSS for me. So Kmeans, let me correct it, guys. Kmeans dot fit. Guys, mind it, I'm not calling fit underscore predict, because right now I'm not interested, right? Not interested, that what would be the point in which, which point is allocated to which cluster. I'm just going to calculate the WCSS. See this, guys? Thoda ruk jaiye, I will explain every term here, features, right? And now, guys, K means dot inertia. There is a variable, guys, you know. K means dot inertia. Uh, K means dot inertia underscore, right, is my variable, right? It's my property that will hold the WCSS, right? So see this, guys, क्या हो रहा है एक बार मैं समझा देता हूं. हम एक लूप चलाना चाहते हैं. वी आर ट्राइंग टू रन ए लूप. व्हाई अ लूप? Because that will help us in creating, you know, different clusters. How? When the loop is running, basically this means it is a list. Range का मतलब एक list है, right? So I can do like this, guys. इसको मैं ऐसे कर देता हूँ 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. Now it should be fine. So what happens, guys, when the loop run in the first iteration, I is equal to, right, 10. I will answer that only कि why we are running it for 10 times. ये जरूरी नहीं आप इसको 10 times ही चलाओ, आप इसको 15 बार चला सकते हैं, 20 बार चला सकते हैं, 5 बार चला सकते हैं. मैंने 10 बार चला के देखा है, ठीक है? So that is there. Now, guys, in the first iteration, I is equal to 1, so it will create one cluster for me. We fit the data and then we calculate the WCSS for one cluster only, right? And let's append that WCSS in this list. So I will just use this list here and append it, guys, you know, this data, this, right? Now in the next iteration, guys, I is equal to 2, right? And when I is equal to 2, it will create two clusters for me. I'm fitting the data and then calculating the WCSS and appending in the WCSS length. So this way, guys, what happens? My loop will run for the 10 times, and every time it calculates the WCSS, we are appending that WCSS in this list. And now, guys, what we can do, we can easily plot that. ये जो ग्राफ हम यहाँ पे मैंने by hand draw किया था, उसी को मैं, you know, calculate, you know, programmatically कर रहा हूँ. Swagatam, this inertia means WCSS. What is the WCSS length, right? So if you want to know the WCSS length, you can use this property of the object, right? And why we are fitting the data every time? Because हर बार मुझे नए clusters बनाने. First iteration में एक ही cluster बन रहा है तो fit किया, फिर दूसरे iteration में 2 cluster बना रहे हैं तो fit किया, फिर तीसरे iteration में 3 cluster बना रहे हैं तो every time I have to fit the data, right? And that's why, you know, I have to call it Kmeans dot fit Shivapuram, right? That's there. So guys, now you can see that I have got the values, right? WCSS values in this list. This is the WCSS when the cluster was 1. This is the WCSS when the cluster was 2, right? This is the you know, WCSS when the cluster count was 3. Hema, K means dot inertia means give me the length of WCSS. You can, you know, say like that. It is like K means dot inertia is a property, right? Inertia is a property that tells you that what is the WCSS. And we are calculating it and appending it to our list. Now, guys, can we plot it? Yes, we can plot it. So plt.plot. On the x-axis, I will keep the count of clusters. So I will keep it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this will become the x-axis data. And on y-axis data, guys, what I will put? I will put this on the y-axis. You will understand everything right now. Just hold on. You know, एक बार चीजें थोड़ी सी late पकड़ में आती हैं हमें. Can you see, guys? Here on the x-axis, it tells me that if the cluster count is 1, this is the WCSS. If the cluster count is 2, this is the WCSS. If the cluster count is 3, this is the WCSS. If the cluster count is 4, and so on and so on. And can you see, guys, after, you know, 8 and 9 clusters, this is getting saturated. If it is not getting saturated, I need to run this loop for more number of times. Then I need to go for 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 as well, right? But अब मुझे दिख रहा है ये saturate होने लग गया तो आगे जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. And now, guys, see, In this plot only, we have the information that what is the right number of clusters in the data. Where you see the elbow, guys, right? इस प्लॉट में जहां पे भी तुम्हें एल्बो दिख रहा है, where you see the elbow is the right number of clusters, guys, right? So at 3 you can see we are getting a elbow here, right? That so जहां पे elbow दिख रहा है वहीं पर हमारा optimal number of clusters होता है. Why it is optimal? Because there is the maximum drop in the WCSS. वो elbow का मतलब क्या है? एल्बो का मतलब है वहां पे मैक्सिमम ड्रॉप हुआ है WCSS का, राइट? एंड दैट इज द वे. सो दैट मींस गाइस, फॉर एवरी डेटा पॉइंट दिस प्लॉट वुड बी डिफरेंट, and every data point you have to identify where the elbow is coming, and accordingly you have to find out what is the right number of clusters. Because अब हमारे केस में elbow 3 पर बन रही है, right? It is getting created at 3, and that's why guys I told you that I am taking 3 clusters, right? So I have answered this question now to you, that why I took 3 clusters in the beginning to explain the things to you guys. Guys, did I did I make you understand that what we did with the WCSS? So what was the way to define you what the WCSS is? Then using that WCSS, what was the use of the WCSS? Calculating, WCSS corresponding to each cluster count, and using that WCSS and plotting it against the number of clusters and finding out whether the elbow is, and that elbow was giving us the optimal or right number of clusters in our data. क्या बोलते हो भाइयों, समझ में आया या नहीं आया? So Kavya, Kavya is saying, sir, I did not understand why we should take only the elbow point. Okay, Kavya, we are taking the elbow point because I told you that elbow point is marking as the maximum drop in the WCSS. जैसे यहाँ सबसे maximum, फिर थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे कम हुआ है, फिर थोड़ा यहाँ पे, फिर एकदम कम होता चला गया है. So there, this is the point where you see the maximum drop, and maximum drop means now you are moving from a optimized cluster count to a unoptimized way. अब आगे जाओगे तो कोई फायदा नहीं है, वहां पर सैचुरेशन मिलेगा तुमको, राइट? सो दिस इज द, इसका मतलब ना कम ना ज्यादा, काइंड ऑफ, ना कम ना ज्यादा. दैट इज द ऑप्टिमल नंबर. काव्या, डिड यू गेट इट नाउ? Yes, Akshat Naik, you are right now. Guys, अब तुम्हें क्या करना है? While solving a K-means problem, what you have to do now? First, you need to calculate that what should be the right number of clusters. इसका मतलब, first you have to apply this method. This method is called as elbow method, guys, right? This method is, and once you know what is the optimized number of clusters, then only you should do this. जो मैंने plot किया था PLT scatter and all. मैंने तुम्हें समझाया उल्टा है, लेकिन तुम्हें रियली में दूसरे तरीके से काम करने का, राइट? सो दैट इज देयर. सो गाइस, डिड यू गेट द पॉइंट व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू? आपको पहले ये पता करना पड़ेगा व्हाट इज द राइट नंबर ऑफ क्लस्टर्स यूजिंग एल्बो मेथड, देन यू हैव टू सॉल्व इट, देन यू हैव टू कॉल दिस फिट प्रिडिक्ट. मैंने समझाया उल्टा है, पहले मैंने फिट प्रिडिक्ट से बताया और फिर फाइनल में बताया कि क्यों लिया था 3. बट आप उल्टा करना, आप पहले ये चेक करना और फिर ये ऊपर वाला पार्ट करना. प्राची देसाई सिंह, सर आई लाइक योर मीटिंग, आई लव्ड इट, थैंक यू. थैंक यू प्राची. या so Shivapuram saying, sir, why we are considering the maximum drop? Because maximum drop is a area where you are not having too much number of clusters, nor having too low number of clusters. Shiva, right? Na to jada, na kam, right? Prachi saying, sir, I would like to attend your next meeting too. Thank you, Prachi. Shiva, is that clear now to you? So Shiva Singh sir, what is the problem with having more clusters anyway? Okay, so think like that, Shiva. Just a minute, hold on. Right, Shiva, because Shiva, let's say, this is Jaipur city, right? This is Jaipur city, and this is the density distribution of the population. This is the population distribution of the Jaipur. Different areas, some areas are more populated, some areas are little lower populated, and so this is the population distribution. Now Shiva, what government is planning to have you know a few hospitals in the city so that people do not have to travel more, and they can get health services very well. So what they think, they are trying to understand what is the density distribution, and accordingly they are planning that how many hospitals we should have, two or three or four or five, right? Two or three or four or five, right? So because hospital, constructing hospital, making it, and giving a service, it's a costly affair, it requires budget, right? So you need to understand that what should be the optimal number of hospitals that will serve the population better, and accordingly, let's say they find out that these are the four hospitals we can have, right? So if they have a budget for four hospitals, now they will create four clusters, right? And every cluster centroid would be the location of the new hospital, right? Every a cluster centroid would be the hospital location. Did you get it now? Why we are using centroid for the hospital location? Because that marks, right, on an average सबसे कम लोगों को वहीं पे तो travel करना पड़ेगा. That is the center city, right? This is there. That would be there, right? So this is there. So guys, Shivapuram, did you get it? Okay, right. So Deepanita Manna Singh sir, it will be great if you make a course on mathematics for AML. Right. So Dalina, I gave you the real example of a clustering, right? That how the clustering has been used to define the location of hospital, right? Or let's say you want to define that what should be the right location of ambulance services in the city, you will have to make use of clustering on. Dalina, did you get it now? Right? Ashutosh Panda, we take x and y separately in the scatter because that is the requirement of the function. You cannot pass the values, right, in one go, right? So that is there. Neha Mishra Singh, sir, very smoothly you make us understand the complex concept of Kmeans clustering, curve fitted with brain neurons. Right, that is there. Ishika, एक बार कोड थोड़ा सा चेक कर लेना, and then we'll get it. Weird. Shivapuram Selva Kumar saying, sir, hashtag CBI for SSR. ये क्या है भाई? Shiva, maybe. Are you from Bangalore? Probably. I have no idea of this hashtag, right? So that is there. So Sylvester sir, can you please share the link of the project in deep learning courses?
I have already shared I'll share it again.
Yeah, please share that. Right. So Aman Kumar, why we are using clustering? So clustering से हमारा a resource planning होता है. That happens, resource planning is there. So let's say you have 50 ambulances, right, in a city, and then now you want to know what should be the right location of the ambulances so that it can serve people in a better way. People don't have to wait much, right? And that way you need to cluster, you need to make clusters out of your population and think that what can be the best 50 clusters. And once you create those 50 clusters, you can use their centroid location as the location of your ambulance services, ambulance, cab and whatever that. right? Shiva saying justice for SSR. I'm sorry, Shiva, I can't help you in this. मुझे नहीं मालूम है what you're talking about. Coimbatore, okay. Okay. Ashwarya saying, sir, when is your session on Python? I think that would be towards end of this month, right? So that would be this. Okay, so yep, Pramod, let me know. Just a minute, I can just copy paste it in your. इसको मैं यहाँ से ले लेता हूँ. I think that should be fine now. So if you start from this, that should work. Let me tell you if it is. I'm sorry, I can't paste it. Maybe I can paste it in parts. यहाँ से ले लेते हैं. See this from here. I can probably take that. Oh no, not again. So चलो इतना ले लेता हूँ मैं. I think that should be fine now. Yeah, it worked this time, and here one more here. So critical part of the code I have pasted. So guys, ताला मैंने तुमको बता दिया ना, जैसे एम्बुलेंस सर्विसेज या गवर्नमेंट की जो रिसोर्स प्लानिंग होती है, इट इज देयर, राइट? इट इज देयर. अयाज जो केरन का जो वैल्यू है वो ना तो बहुत ज़्यादा कम होना चाहिए, नंबर ऑफ के जो उसको कह रहे हैं, ना कम होना चाहिए. ज़्यादा होने से इट विल टेक अ लॉट ऑफ डिले, राइट? So that is there, and no Himanshu, nothing required, right? Ashutosh, you can, but you need to spend more time on that, Ashutosh, right? And if you just want to take one, so maybe you can go for project first, Ashutosh, because वो data analytics or visualization का है. In the next season, when we have a deep learning, you can attend the deep learning part, right? NLP is also one of the machine learning area of this, right? NLP की बात कभी और करेंगे, आज तो नहीं है. राइट. सो गाइज, मैं एक क्विकली थोड़ा सा आप लोगों को एक डीप लर्निंग का मैं छोटा सा आइडिया दे देता हूँ, राइट? क्या चीज़ है, राइट? सो ताल, हाँ, ओके. Sorry, Mohammed, I'm very poor at pronouncing the names of the people. So Anuruddha, I can't help you in that. Sorry for it, right? And I think not the best place to talk about this, Anirudh, right? So, guys, listen. I told you that for machine learning, which library we use, guys, right? Yeah, it's okay, Anirudh. So, guys, for ML, we used scikit-learn, right? That. Obviously, pandas, NumPy, and matplotlib are anyway required. Those would be required in the deep learning as well, guys. ये तो ML की बात हुई. In case of deep learning, what happens, guys? We are going to use pandas. We are going to use NumPy. We are going to use matplotlib, right? And sometimes we will use, sklearn as well. But the core libraries to perform deep learning projects is, Keras is there, one of the library from Google, and a TensorFlow. So these are the two libraries from Google, guys. We use Keras in our deep learning course. And from Facebook and Uber, guys, there is one more library called PyTorch, right? So it is from Facebook and Uber, right? That is also being used, but there is a lot of support for TensorFlow and Keras. And what happens, guys? Keras is using TensorFlow behind the scene, right? So guys, Facebook and Uber का engineering team ने साथ में काम करके PyTorch को develop किया है, right? So that is there. Uber also has an engineering team which is working on machine learning and AI, right? That is there. So that PyTorch is there, guys. So we use Keras for it. One more, thing, guys, that in case of deep learning, deep learning again has two subparts. One is supervised deep learning here, and we have unsupervised deep learning here as well. In case of supervised deep learning, which is the most popular one actually, it has three different types. One is known as ANN, which is called as artificial neural network. It is artificial neural network because I told you that day that deep learning is about neural network. Then there is a type called CNN. Sometimes people call it as computer vision as well, right? If you see, guys, if you upload any photo on the Facebook, right, it automatically identifies your friends and all. It is all CNN, right? Computer vision. All those driverless cars by Tesla or Google, all of them are using CNN only, right? And there is a third, guys, RNN, which is called as recurrent neural network. Anyway, CNN stands for convolutional neural network, right? Convolutional, neural network. And this RNN stands for, guys, recurrent neural network. Recurrent neural network. Where RNN is being used? RNN is being used in your daily life, guys. Do you remember, guys, when you go to the Gmail and types or draft some email, while you are typing, it starts giving you some, suggestions, right? Do you think? जब यहाँ पे कुछ लिख रहे होते हैं, ड्राफ्ट कर रहे होते हैं, तो साथ में यहाँ पे कुछ आ जाता है, right? This is all because of the RNN. That's a complete example of the RNN, right? और ये जो Google Home या Alexa और ये सब हैं, ये they all are using NLP, natural language processing. Natural language processing means whatever text as a human we write or whatever we speak as a human, can machine understand that, right? So उसको हम NLP कहते हैं. That is called as natural language. हम जो बोल रहे हैं, हम जो लिख रहे हैं, क्या उसको कंप्यूटर समझ सकता है? उसी चीज में NLP का यूज होता है. Updesh Shivran, did you get it now? Where the NLP is being used? NN stands for neural network, Ishika, right? Yeah, Roshit, a date would be mentioned, but as of now, this is Monday. You will get all the details very, very soon, Roshit, right? You will get all the details very soon. Yes, Ayaz, NLP is supervised. NLP is a supervised part. And guys, as a final reminder from my side, tomorrow, Sunday evening, is the last day where you can, register for the certificate. अगर अभी तक आपने certificate के लिए register नहीं किया है, तो please आप कर सकते हैं. कल शाम तक का time है, right? And Wednesday को आप लोगों के certificates आपके पास पहुंच जाएंगे. That is there. So this is there, guys, right? और एक और चीज मैं लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, राइट? सो अमन, जो एआई का जो डेवलपमेंट है वो इसी को हम एआई कर रहे हैं, वेयर यू आर यूजिंग डीप लर्निंग और इफ यू आर यूजिंग मशीन लर्निंग टू ऑटोमेट समथिंग, दैट इज एआई ओनली, राइट? उसी को हम एआई कह रहे हैं. सो yes, guys, deep learning course is from Monday 4 p.m. You will get the details soon. You just need to register for that, right? That is there. So so that is there. Aman, I didn't get your question. Please elaborate. क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं? ताला ताल आ वो भी Monday से start हो रहा है. It is also started from Monday. You will get the message by Sunday evening. Don't worry, right? And guys, I would request everyone, please do write us a review on Google for us if you like. अगर आप, if you want to give us a feedback, guys, right? Shubham, you will get the confirmation soon. I think you will, you will get it right. Yeah, Hetvi, thanks for that. And I would recommend that, that please, register for the certificate if you have not registered yet. Sandeep saying done, sir. Thank you, Sandeep. So please go to this link and write a review for us, guys. Right. Shubham, project season पूरे एक महीना चलेगा. It will work for for 4 weeks. पहले वीक में ट्रेनिंग है, फिर नेक्स्ट 2 weeks में डेवलपमेंट है, फिर लास्ट के वीक में डॉक्यूमेंटेशन एंड फिनिशिंग वगैरह है उसको, राइट. Pramod Panigri, no, Python is not starting from starting from tomorrow. It will start later on, guys. It will start later on. Maybe you can get the calendar. August calendar का मैं link share कर रहा हूँ, guys. You can go there and then you can see all the courses. So Ashutosh Panda saying, sir, please conduct an aptitude session. It would be great for placement point of view. Okay. Anirudh Kaustik saying, sir, where I can get other paid courses of Forsk Coding School? Do you have any website official? We will, because Anirudh, now we have your contact details. We will soon, let you know whenever we have, a paid course floating. We'll inform you. हिमांशु सिंह सर, क्या ऑल एल्गोरिथम्स के लिए कोई वेबिनार होगा? वेबिनार तो पॉसिबल नहीं है हिमांशु, फिर एक लंबा कोर्स होता है and that course is paid where we discuss all the algorithms from beginning in scratch and make a lot of projects into that. Sandeep saying, sir, what would be the prerequisites for the program development session? Kuch basic Python kuch aata ho, that would be enough, Sandeep, right? Siddharth Gupta saying, so from Instagram we get info of your, yeah, Siddharth, we update on the Instagram as well, right? Ashi saying, sir, thanks a lot, sir, and our team, really a wonderful initiative and amazing sessions. Thank you, Ashi. Right. No, Shubham, it will go up to 30 days. I think we'll update that. Ashutosh saying, sir, what is the price for long courses? Generally, long course prices are from 5,000 to 10,000. So that is the average pricing, Ashutosh, right? NLP is part of that. NLP is just part of that. J or Jay, Jay Thakkar, right? Shivapuram Selva saying, sir, how we can get in touch with you? You can write your email or Surendra ka number bhi hai, Shiva tumhare paas, right? Number is also there. You can contact on this. Guys, you can contact on this WhatsApp in case if you have anything to share or join, right? Anand saying, thank you, sir. We learned a lot of things waiting for deep learning course, right? Neha Mishraji is saying, yep, sir, thank you so much for all efforts. Yeah, thank you. Jeevan saying, sir, explain unsupervised deep learning. I think, Jeevan, that would be a little complex as of now, so please wait for next week. I'll discuss that there, right? Yeah. So Anirudh saying, sir, do we get any benefit if we get training certificate of yours in other interviews? So Anirudh, there are two cases, you just need to understand that part. One is a certificate and another is the skill, right? If you have not get anything from this course, don't go for the certificate. Don't go for the certificate if this course has not benefited you at all. Don't go for that, right? But if you have learned something real, right, it was really a good value addition to your knowledge and skill set, you should go for it. Why you should go for it? Because Forsk Coding School is now not a name which no one knows. Now, a lot of industries, a lot of people across India know about Forsk Coding School and all, right? On the Google, we have close to 1,200 reviews, जो कि सिर्फ लास्ट के 3 महीने में आए हमारे पास, राइट। पहली चीज, the certificate is kind of a key through which you can get a filter, you can get a so once you apply somewhere for some interview, and if you have a good certificates with you, that will help in a filtering your resume. Once that filtering is done, certificate job is done. Now certificate will not help you anymore, right? So that was to clear the first step, certificate was there. Now once you sit in the interview, it is your knowledge, it is your skill that will help you out. Nothing else is going to help you out. So there are two different approaches and ways, and then you have to think that way, that certificate is for entry, right? But after the entry, right, people will welcome you or not, or they will ask you to go, right, go back. It is your skill, it is your communication, it is your hard work, right? All of those things, including your projects and all, right? That would be there. And we would be covering the supervised deep learning part in the next week, right? Tala saying, sir, what kind of certification would be at end of the project? So in the project season, you will get a letter of internship, Tala, right? You will get a letter of internship. So Akshit, I would, as I told you, that we will be discussing ANN, we would be discussing CNN, and we would be discussing RNN, and we will be doing practical on all of these three. That is the deep learning content, right? Ayushi saying, sir, heartfelt thank you for all that you have done. Thank you. Ashwarya saying great session. Okay. Himanshu, you can join our Telegram group. You can go to the Telegram and search Forsk Coding School, and you can join that. We keep on updating there, and please go on the Insta. We keep on updating there as well, right? Ishwar saying, sir, thank you, sir. We learned many topics in these 6 days. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Ishwar. Right.
So please share the review links that people are waiting for that.
I have already shared it. So,
No, sir, you have not shared it.
So guys, this is the Google review link. If I have not shared it, please go there and just share your feedback there, right? Neha, the projects would be related to Python, and yes, data analytics, visualization, ML, and all, right? And I told you, right, ANN, CNN, RNN. So we will be understanding the concept, understanding the theory, and doing the practical as well, right? Shubham, no, those videos are not uploaded on the YouTube. Project videos are not uploaded there, right? As I would be in deep learning, right? I would be in deep learning. Yeah, thank you, Anirudh. So, guys, no, that is gone Shubham. उसकी ज़रूरत नहीं है. Now everything would be in the project. Project 3 का project 2 से कोई relation नहीं है. Dr. Sylvester would be there, Tala. I would be there, Sylvester would be there, and a couple of other members from Forsk. They would be there in the project. So guys, yeah, Ishika, thank you for that. I think now we can close it, guys. Yeah, you're right, Mohammed. Safe to say Mohammed, right? हिमांशु गौतम सिंह सर एमएल की कोई बुक बता दीजिए. एमएल की हिमांशु एज सच मैं कोई बुक फॉलो नहीं करता हूँ. But you can follow a couple of websites. I think they can help you, right? So one is Analytics Vidya, right? Analytics Vidya is there. That can be there. Analytics Vidya. Other is Machine Learning Mastery, right? So that's there. Analytics Vidya is there. Then you have Machine Learning Mastery, right? That's also a good site. See this. And then you have Kaggle. Kaggle is there, right? You can use Kaggle as well. See this, right? So there are a couple of sites, and there is one guy called I just forget it. Um, I just moved from just got
Adrian?
I think Adrian, right? Adrian, computer vision. It's a very good site. Pi image search, right? This is this, and there is one more guy called Sebastian Raska. Sebastian Raska. This is very good, you know. So you can go to his site and see his blogs. He writes a lot of things around machine learning, AI, deep learning, and all that, right? So that's this. Yeah, Prashil, thank you for that. Ravi saying, sir, when we will given a certificate. So Ravi, they would be, you will get them by Wednesday, and please do check your spam folder as well, right? And it was saying, sir, data analysis ka koi weekly course hoga. Yes, that would be there, but I think that will happen in September now, right? Aman saying, sir, where is my certificate gone? Which certificate you are talking about? Have you applied for this AIML wala, Aman? अगर वो अप्लाई किया है तो अभी सर्टिफिकेट उसके आएंगे, अभी आए नहीं है, वो नेक्स्ट वीक वेडनेसडे तक आएंगे, राइट? Vignesh, I think that project start is from Monday. Dr. Sylvester, is that from Monday?
Yeah, till now it's Monday only.
Okay. So, Aman, वो अभी सर्टिफिकेट अभी प्रिंट हुए नहीं है अभी. इफ यू हैव अप्लाइड तो कल शाम तक उसका लास्ट डेट है, और उसके बाद फिर वो प्रोसेस होंगे, राइट? Aman, did you get it? Have you applied just now? अभी किया शायद तुम, right? Yeah, I see a entry for you. Pataliputra University. Where it is? It's in Bihar. Okay.
But there's no UPI numbers given, sir. The UTR number is missing.
अपना उसका वो UPI का कुछ ट्रांजैक्शन आईडी आया होगा तुम्हारे पास, उसको अपडेट कर दो फॉर्म में, दोबारा भर दो फॉर्म, वो डिटेल डाल दो उसमें, so it is easy for us to match the entries, right? Anirudh, data analysis में we have we take sorting, cleaning, and everything. We focus on 3 libraries. We take detailed pandas, we take matplotlib in detail, we take numpy in detail. So these are the 3 primary libraries, and around that we make a project, or like solving some real problem. That is there. Anirudh. Okay, guys. Thank you, and see you in the next season sometime, right? Till then, take care. Bye-bye. Jai Hind. Yeah, Rishi. Thank you. Jai Hind. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.